Hi, this is the voice of Heidie Calero with another economic capsule regarding the Puerto Rico economy and certain things that maybe you are wondering if you're hearing this capsule and viewing it. Why is it that Puerto Rico's inflation is below the United States inflation as measured by the Consumer Price Index? So we have entitled this economic capsule, The Untold Truth Behind Inflation. Let's see if we can dissect the mystery behind these figures. The first graph that I'm depicting for you is Consumer Price Index. That's the measure of inflation prices in Puerto Rico, which is the red line, from January of 2018 through March of 2023. And the blue line is the United States, but CPI without energy. And I'll tell you why in a few minutes, why we are just comparing Puerto Rico's Consumer Price Index with the US, but with the US without energy. Average 2019 through 2023, 3.9% in the US, and in Puerto Rico only 2.4%. Would you believe that? Puerto Rico is an island. It's surrounded by water, and most of the merchandise comes by shipping lines, so that really makes it more expensive. The same thing, most of what we consume, except maybe for some services, it's mostly imported. So whatever happens out there, especially from the US, why are the prices in Puerto Rico lower than in the US? Let's continue with this mystery just a little bit longer. Well, the components of the Consumer Price Index as of March 2023 are depicted in this second graph by different categories. The red bars are Puerto Rico and the blue bars are the US. So notice that, for instance, in education, Puerto Rico in March 2023 compared with March 2022 had a higher increase, 3%, compared with 1.4% in the US. So Puerto Rico higher than in the US. But notice medical care. Medical care in Puerto Rico was only 0.3% versus 1.5% in the US. And if we go down there, if we look at food and beverage, Puerto Rico is more expensive, 10.1% compared with 8.3% in the US. And even total, Puerto Rico, the last two bars that you see there, Puerto Rico is 5.1% in March of 2023 compared with March 2022. But in the US, it was more expensive, 6%. True, it's been declining, but it's still a too hot economy that the Federal Reserve wants to really cool down with increases in interest rates. This third graph starts already explaining some of the trends behind this mystery of inflation, lower in Puerto Rico than in the US. And this reflects the weights in the Consumer Price Index. In order to do this index, there must be a study, a survey that is done about a regular family, what they consume in terms of merchandise or in terms of services. And then the Department of Labor goes and finds prices, which continues to trend throughout the year. But in the States, those weights and that family survey is conducted on an annual basis. Puerto Rico it's an old study. It's 2006. It's 17 years old. So it's a teenage, but it's a teenage that reflects really changes in consumption patterns, which right now we are not really capturing. So you see, for instance, that in housing, 44.5 is the weight in the United States, whereas here in Puerto Rico is 25.1. So it would seem that the price index in the US would be more heavily trending towards housing. In Puerto Rico, the weight is more in terms of food, as you see there, 22.8 compared with 14.3. In electricity, in the US it's 2.6, and you know what? In Puerto Rico it says that it's 2.8. That weight is wrong, especially for the past 17 years when we have started to use even more and more electro appliances, and we have used more and more electricity. Well, let's unveil part of the mystery why the CPI in Puerto Rico is lower than in the US. And as you can see in this fourth graph, this is the energy, the electricity and water increases from January of 2018 through March 2023. And you see there's a flat line. The blue line is water, and electricity is the orange line. And as you can see there, it's constant. It's impossible. But you know what? Luma Energy, which is the one that invoices for the electric bill in Puerto Rico, does these adjustments on a quarterly basis. But the Department of Labor needs these adjustments on a monthly basis. So since May of 2019, this index has not moved. It hasn't budged, even though we know that the price of electricity has just skyrocketed in Puerto Rico. So that's part of the mystery. The consumer price index in Puerto Rico does not reflect the increases in energy, and neither does it reflect water, and that will affect all sectors of this economy. So that's part of the problem that we have. The Department of Labor doesn't have a statistician that will probably can adjust the Luma Energy quarterly changes, adjustments to monthly changes. They don't have enough money to undertake one of these studies, family survey studies that I indicated before. That costs more than $1 million. So Puerto Rico spends money on other things, but not in these important things. Finally, H. Calero Consulting, my firm, did an adjustment in the CPI. What if we were adjusting for the price of electricity, the kilowatt hour, for all classes, and we adjusted that price index for electricity, which the Department of Labor has left flat? Well, as you can see there, the blue line is the consumer price index as published by the Department of Labor, and the orange line is the inflation adjusted by H. Calero Consulting Group through December of 2022. And as you can see, it's higher, especially since May 2019, than what has been published. So there you are. That's the mystery behind the truth behind inflation, which nobody has told you before. And here, with the economic capsules of the voice of Heidie Calero, you get the really the first news regarding the mystery of inflation. If you liked our economic capsules, don't forget to go to YouTube, subscribe, give us a like in those economic capsules, and don't forget that this is a service of Puerto Rico Economic Pulse. Don't forget that the economy is all of us. Thank you.